And it's done. We have our, what you would call maybe an inlay. I don't really know another word to call it, but these are the wings on the side. This is the approach area where Julia Phoenix will be sitting to use her desk. We've rounded the edges. We're going to be rounding off the rest of the edges, but moving forward, we have a back panel that's going on the back side of here, though I want the legs to be continuous, if that makes any sense, from the floor to the top of the back panel to give as much support as I can for any other additional accessories, lighting, ring light that we're gonna have. And we're also gonna have cubbies here as well. So we don't wanna make the desk heavier on one side more than the other on the end or at the beginning of where you sit. So just a little bit concerned about that. That's why we're gonna be making a leg that connects to the foot. That's going to go from the floor all the way to the top of the back panel that we're gonna create. So our next step is going to be shaving down these legs and getting them to the right measurements that we need. So we've done our cutting. At least it seems that way. What we have is our short legs here. The short legs are gonna go a little bit further in from the back panel, from where it is. And again, no joiner and no planer, right? So all we had to work with was the trusty alignment, 90-degree alignment of the table saw I have here, the portable rigid table saw, which I keep saying portable because technically, if you want to get real precise, you don't get yourself a portable table saw. You get yourself something like a saw stop. That is high up there on the price list, but well worth the investment. And someday I'll get there. But for right now, this is what we have. This is what we're working with, and that's primarily what this video is about: using what you have. So this is probably not perfectly square, but I would say it's pretty darn good for framing lumber, right? Because that was the challenge of this whole thing. Mostly using framing lumber for the support, mostly using framing lumber for the legs and things like that. So that's our internal leg. It's gonna come in a little bit more in. So instead of being on the back end here, it's gonna be pushed in just a tad so we can have a long foot underneath the desk of where she's gonna be sitting at, and then a shorter foot on the outside, just a little bit on the outside. These are our internal legs. They're gonna go a little bit in from the back and match up with our longer legs back here that are gonna support the back panel. These are our under desk supports, horizontal supports, I guess you would say. I definitely don't know the terminology, but horizontal supports nonetheless underneath the desk. And these are also gonna be our feet. Pretty long feet. It's necessary because, again, remember, we're creating this C-shape support system. And again, that's probably not the right wording, and I just stopped caring. Those are the feet, those are the legs, the internal legs. We have 4 of each, and we have 2 of these longer legs. These are the longer legs. So these are gonna be supporting not only the back panel, but going all the way down to the floor. And they're gonna line up with the feet that we put on the floor. They're also gonna be matching up vertically with these other feet. Legs, these other legs. So they're gonna match up with these legs here, kind of like that. So tabletop, well, let's get a little bit longer here. So tabletop matches up right about here, and then the rest of this is gonna have panels, the back panel support, or you could even call it a backsplash for a desk, but that's what we're gonna have. And this is just for matching these 2 up together, is just for extra support. I feel better that's how it's gonna be. And then at the very bottom here, at the very bottom, we're gonna have the feet. So now that the supports are done, the legs are done, the feet are done, squaring up. And again, just doing the squaring to the best of our ability, even though we don't have a joiner or a planer, doing it to the best of our ability because it makes it easier when assembling these things together to get them on a surface that is a little bit more square. We ran into a little bit of an issue trying to get the brackets to line up properly. They tend to hit each other, and that leaves us with a little bit of gap over here. So to remedy this situation, we're gonna utilize the space on the internal leg. We're gonna utilize the space widthwise and assume that that's gonna be okay. If I overlap it, that's gonna be an issue for integrity, obviously, for the brackets holding them up correctly. You can't have them overlapping, otherwise you have a gap in them setting flush to the support that we have. So another option that we're gonna do is we're gonna maintain the original length. We're not gonna cut any more wood. There's a certain height that I'm going for that rests just above the armrest on the side of the chair that the person that's gonna be using this desk is going to sit in. To remedy this, we're going to simply position one of the brackets slightly over. And my thinking is that this is going to be somewhat of an external support bracket for weight distributed more on the outside, whereas this is going to be more internal. I think it should be fine, and we're going to test out that theory. And we're back with another thing I didn't consider. So these are the feet. The feet are measured out to a certain length, and what I'm finding out is that they only reach so far. Back here, I wanted small feet, to go back behind the major support and the internal support on the inside. Let me get that external support. So this is the external support here. This is the external support. This is the internal support. External, internal. I wanted to have a foot even on the back end just to make sure nothing falls over if things are too heavy with the cubbies and things of that nature. So this piece of wood, though I can do that, I can have a little foot on the back for balance support. Out here, it doesn't come to the very edge of the desk. So kind of what that means is you're gonna have a compromise on weight distributed to one side or the other, or weight placed on one side or the other. I could leave it and I could just roll with the punches because I have 4 of these feet cut because it's the same length for the feet that it is for the under desk support, which is here. They're all the same length, but I'm gonna play it safe and I'm gonna cut more wood that is going to go not only the foot on the back end just for balance measures, but also going to go all the way out to the end here. And I'm also gonna be putting brackets on the back end of the feet, the little feet down here. I don't know if I have them, but we'll find out. So that's the plan moving forward. Roll it to cutting wood. We're kind of at a standstill. The width of the drill bit that I'm using seemed like it was going to work. I had a couple of them for the wood insert, but it seems that when you use a certain width, if it's not tight enough and if it's too wide, it doesn't stick in there properly and you end up damaging a wood insert. So that's kind of what happened. And I'm gonna get this little fly here. So yeah, so we're gonna attempt to make another hole inside between the space that there's these 2 other holes that I made in an attempt to get the screw and the wood insert as close to the back end of the desk as we can. And I just hope it works this time. This will be the third attempt. All right. Since we have the legs up now, it's starting to look like we need to think about cross member support or cross support. What we're gonna do is we're gonna create a stud squared, and we're gonna connect the bottom of here to the bottom of here for cross support. I don't know the term, but that's what we're gonna do. And we're gonna do one for here at the bottom. These are the bottoms, desk is upside down. And we're gonna do one down here, connecting from here all the way across to here. So that's the next step of our process, to add more cross support between this leg and this leg. And then after that, we're gonna be working on the backsplash support that's also gonna support the cubbies. So let's roll the footage of me cutting the wood, squaring the wood, cutting the wood, doing the thing. Yes. Also, some new things to consider is we now have new wood inserts, and one has a spiky end. So this is more or less like kind of like a hammered in type of insert, and then the teeth are going upwards, so it will pull as the screw is in there, and then if the screw ever tries to come out without being screwed out, it just kind of won't happen with these teeth, or supposedly that's what it's supposed to be. And then we have this wood insert that has spiral threading, and that's just kind of like your usual, but instead of having to use a flathead to screw this in, all you need is a certain hex key. We're gonna try one of these on the legs with the supports and see how that works out. All right, first of all, this lighting is a little weird. I don't have the lighting that I should have just yet. But what I do have is this desk that I'm working on, and we skipped ahead a little bit. We added some shelvings and some sides of shelvings, what have you. They are 1/4 of an inch thick, and there's a couple of things that kind of went wrong. So. And then there's a couple things that went right. Trying to get this done at a certain time, so I don't really record the whole process. So basically what we have is we have some basic screws that go in. We did get the wood inserts set up properly, and when it comes to the shelving, one of the issues is what's the best way, right? You could use brad nailers, you could use small screws, regular screws, thin screws, or wood inserts, maybe really thin wood inserts. I haven't been able to find any with where I'm located. I don't want to order them online, so we didn't use brad nails. We used basic wood screws, or I think actually they're drywall screws, but they don't expand the multi-layered plywood that bad. If you get it right in the center, it works really well. That's kind of where we're at, and that's what we're working on now. We're putting up the shelving for the other side as well. Let's just keep going. We're almost done getting to paint. All right, so I have another idea. Here's my panel for the support for the shelf, what have you. Again, I don't know what it's called, but my other panel here for the other side. And what I'm thinking we're gonna do is I'm gonna take this panel and I'm gonna line it up with the shelving that's already here and make lines indentations on where the shelving is placed, right? That way when I transfer it to the overside, there's no need to guess. It'll be in the same coordinates spot or what have you as these shelves here. We're working off this theory and we're gonna try it. All right, I've had some audio issues. My Rode mic wasn't on the last time I filmed. I'm gonna look back and see where I caught up with, but we went through some steps here. So this blackness behind me is actually the desk. And we went ahead and started painting. I'm trying to reach this deadline. Tomorrow's the deadline. And all we need is paint, and then we can move. We're gonna paint the rest, but I used a rattle can. Today what we're gonna be doing, instead of using the rattle can, we're gonna use my electric paint gun. We'll move it in today, and then we'll put up the backdrop. That's the plan, that's what we're gonna do. It's gonna get done. So, surprise, surprise, we are here. The desk is done. The desk is in the office. And I know that the last shot that we saw was me putting on some protective material on the bottom of the desk for the legs and the feet as I was painting, but I was underneath a deadline, so I couldn't necessarily just record the whole time and move the camera around and get it all adjusted. So I had to speed it up and kind of get this thing done. I did get it done by the deadline, which I'm super proud of. The desk came out really good. I would do this again actually if I got commissioned to. And the backsplash came out better than I expected. The shelving here was something that I came up at the end of the design. I kind of changed things around, and I'm really proud of the way that it came out. There's small imperfections that I couldn't get when I was doing the finer details, but using the type of paint that I used, it really helped mask some of that. Even for Julia as she sits down and uses it here and there. None of this is coated with any kind of protective material. It's not really for that. Julia doesn't really need that. We may do that in the future. But all in all, we have our lights, we have our ring light, and we have our camera centered right in the middle of the ring light. Look at that. And of course she has her laptop, and this is the desk with all of her kind of accoutrement. The things that make Julia Phoenix, all of her stones, crystals. We have some salt lamps here. We've had those before, those are not new. But all in all, the desk came together really, really well. I think it was a really good choice to go with these inlays here, these inserts Forgot what they're called, but it matches down here to up there. It's a really nice design aesthetic, and it actually matches even up here in the shelves. So I'm definitely going to be doing this desk again if commissioned. And also, if you like this desk and you want something like this or the exact same one, go ahead and leave me a comment and we can get things moving. And if you don't like the desk and you have some constructive criticism, feel free to leave some comments below. I actually had an awesome time doing this desk, and I learned a lot from it, using wood inserts to using framing lumber and other materials that aren't necessarily used for building a desk. And that's kind of my main point of this whole video, is I wanted to show and inspire that just because you don't have the right tools or even some of the right material, you can still create functional, beautiful things, the perfect balance between form and function. And that's what I was going for. I wanted something that was beautiful to look at, but extremely functional in a stationary form. And I believe that's pretty much what we got. If you like this desk and it inspires you, and you want to build one yourself, I say go for it. This wasn't really a how-to video. If you like the desk and you want it for yourself, go ahead and leave me a comment below. If you know someone that likes this desk or could really use this desk, share it with them. And if you just simply like the video and you want to see what I'm going to create next, subscribe for sure. Other than that, the next project that's going to be on my channel is going to be a cat house, and I'm really excited about that. So as soon as this video is done being edited and out there, I'm going to start working and shooting that. So until then, I'll see you guys next time.